Winski for Astro Trend Futures Swing Trading Market Letter. I have over 50 years experience doing this. For the past 10 years or so, I've been making these videos where I take a few cycles from my monthly letter, which I've been doing for 47 years, and show you a few of the cycles and how they came out. And what we're going to be doing here is I'm going to show you what I did back on the 7th. I did a video on another platform on November 17th, and had 6 cycles that I showed. This is all based on planetary cycles, which, by the way, if you're an experienced trader, you might have heard of the great W.D. Gann, considered one of the greatest market technicians of the 20th century, and that was his main timing tool. And speaking of timing, here's the key to the markets. The key to the markets is time, not price. Time is much more important than price. If you have the right time, you'll have the right price. So I'm going to show you what I did to forecast it back on the 17th. I had the PM this afternoon, November 18th, had a Mercury cycle for corn, soybeans, wheat. Then after the 19th, we had another Mercury cycle for corn, soybeans, wheat. And then we have the new moon. Anytime we have a new moon or full moon, we look at financials, that's your stocks, T-bonds, and currencies, grains, precious metals, oil, and because it was in the new moon, was in the sign of Scorpio, we'll also be looking at cocoa hogs, and because T-bonds are a financial, double emphasis on the T-bonds. Then the AC is over after the close overnight, so we'll be looking for a possible trade. The next morning's opening, that means opening the 20th. We have geocentric, from the point of view of the Earth, geocentric. By the way, if you want any help with any technical terms, you can contact me at that email, nwinski@yahoo.com. I'll give you a free class. So anyway, we had Uranus cycle lining up with Neptune, and that's cattle, copper, cotton, and oil. And then we had another Uranus cycle for cattle, copper, and cotton. And then the night of the 20th, that's into the opening of the 21st. And then we had over the night of the 21st into the 24th, that was the weekend, we had Mercury perihelion, that's Mercury at its closest point to the sun. Peri means close, helio is Greek for the sun. We'd be looking at corn, gold, soybeans, wheat. Okay, here's our first chart. Corn is our first market we're going to look at. And you see there's our first point. We had a nice rally top there. We had 2 windows for possible markets. We want to sell on strength, buy on weakness. So we sold on the strength that he had a nice short-term top there. We had 2 windows there for a possible low, but they were a little early, so I'm marking those with a red arrow. That's a miss. A green arrow is good. That means you had a chance to make some money. Over here we had the opening of the 24th, and that was very good because that was the low of the month. So we went 50-50 on the corn. Not great, not very good. Usually do better than that, usually bad in the 70s and the 80s. So here's soybeans, also went 50-50, very similar type pattern there. And so I will move on to wheat, which basically copied the corn and the soybeans action. They're going 50-50. Cattle, we also went 50-50. We had that point there with Uranus and the sign of Taurus, the bull, which you might guess has something to do with cattle. And there we have that, 50-50. We had a good one there, and we had that one there just ahead of that low area there. And so there we go. I take that back. What we're doing here is we're buying there as a short-term low, and you popped up there about 4 handles. A handle is a full number, full digit. So that was like a penny in cattle is $400, and 4 times 400 would be, you had a chance to make about $1,600. So there we go. That's why that was a green arrow there, because you did have a chance to make some money. Here in cotton, we're right near that really good low there. We had 2 things for the low there. And then we had cocoa. And then we had the cocoa here, making a low. And that was near that little low there. And then it popped up. It doesn't look like a lot, but cocoa is a beast. And every penny chopping sideways. So then we put a yellow box for a pass because you don't know whether you would have bought or you would have sold. And then here's the copper, making a high there, and a short-term high there, and every penny in copper is worth $250, and it dropped, say about 50 cents, 5 cents. That's about $5,000. And there we have the low there, and then you had a huge rally from that low there going up for several days. And that's some really big money there. That's about 25, 30 cents times 25,000. So that's about $7,000 or $8,000 or more, you know. Here's silver. That had a nice short-term top there and dropped, dropped about 52 down to 48. That's 4 times. If you trade the big contract, 5,000 ounces, that would be 20 grand. If you trade the mini, 1,000, that would be about $4,000. Here's gold, and you made a little short-term high there, and it dropped, and you that's a chance to make some money there. From 41.40 down to 40.60, that's about $80. That's if you trade the big one, that's $8,000. If you're trading the mini, that's about $800. And then we had a pass there on the second window there for gold. Here's the oil. We only had the one window. That's the new moon for the oil, or the full moon, I should say. The full moon for the oil. And that was a miss. It went lower. There's the S&P. It was the best market I did. I forecasted. I hit 5 out of 6. You can see there. We hit that low there. That was that low corresponds to that low there. You could buy against that low there. And then a huge gap up. And then a huge, even bigger move down. That drop there. That drop there. You up about 100, 150, and then down about 200. 100 is good for 5 grand if you're trading S&P eBay. So you look at it at about $15,000 there. And then you could have bought against that low there, right there. And you would have had a chance to make another several $1,000s. And then this one just, if you sold there and went short, then you had this there and you would have given back some money. Here's T-bonds. We had a double window there for the bonds for the moon. Because the moon was in Scorpio, and that's associated with the bonds. And you see there, that was the low of the month. That was a very good low there. But the bonds, at every handle, every full number on the bonds is $1,000, and we went from about 116 up to about 118. So that's $2,000 on the bonds. Now we're into the currencies with the U.S. dollar index. And you see right near the top there on the moon. You can check this out in like 30 minutes yourself. Just go on Google, new moon, full moon dates, and go look at your charts. And you'll see that this works about 75% of the time. It's not perfect. There's nothing out there that's perfect. Anybody tells you that, don't listen to them. They don't know what they're talking about, or they're trying to fool you. Here's the Aussie dollar. That was a little bit of a drawdown there. So even though it was only one day before that low, I had to mark that as a miss because it was just too much of a drawdown there. Too much, it would have gone against you too much. Here's the pound, though. The pound was very good. You're buying right on the low there and then a big rally. Here's the Canadian dollar. You get too much drawdown there like the Aussie. And so I had to mark that as a miss even though it was only one day before the low. And here's your euro. That's good. Just a day before that low there. Not too bad there on the drawdown. And here's the yen. Excellent. That's the low of the month there right on the yen. And a nice rally. And the Swiss franc, you're right near the low there before you had the rally on the Swiss franc. If you add up the green arrows and the red arrows, it's 26 winners, 11 misses out of 37 signals for 70.27%. Not too many people hit 70% winners. So now let's look ahead what's coming up. Okay, so we have the night of the 4th of December. That's a Thursday night. We have a full moon in the sign of Gemini, and it's also, the moon will be also at perigee. This only occurs about every 14 months. Perigee is when the moon is closest to the Earth. They'll have the full moon, and the moon will be close to the Earth, and the moon will look extra large and bright at that time, and that only occurs every 14 months, and that means the moon should be extra powerful. We'll be looking at financials and stocks, T-bonds and currencies, grains, precious metals, and oil. And then also the night of the 4th, we'll be looking at, we're going to look at, use the astrological chart for the founding of the USA, July the 4th, 1776. Anytime we have that, we look at stocks, U.S. stocks, T-bonds, and the U.S. dollar. And then the night of the 5th, that'll be over, I believe, the weekend. That'll be helio from the point of view of the sun. Mars will change signs and go in the sign of Capricorn, and that's coffee. And then the night of the 9th, that'll be Tuesday night. Neptune in Pisces turns direct. You might have heard of retrograde. This is the opposite of retrograde. This is when the planet turns direct. Has to do with the relative motion of the planets to the Earth. And we'll set up a class, a private one-to-one class, and I'll explain about retrograde and direct. Anyway, there's a shift in the angular momentum between Neptune and the Earth, and Neptune is oil, so you want to watch the oil market then. And then the afternoon of the 11th, I think that'll be like a Thursday. Thursday afternoon, we have helio from the point of view of the sun. Saturn is going to line up with Neptune. That's about a 34, 35-year cycle, and that's coffee and oil. Now, here's who I am. If you don't know me, I've been doing this for over 50 years. I'm a former Chicago floor trader, did that for 12 years. Before that, I was trading while I was in college, made enough money to buy a membership on the Chicago Board Options Exchange in 1975. I was there for 12 years, and during that same time, we were in the Chicago Board Options Exchange, was in the Board of Trade, Chicago Board of Trade building, and I traded there for a while also. Got to meet some of the greatest traders in the world. If you call me right away, this date's wrong here. It's November 20th. Let's make that December 10th. If you call me by December 10th, get a hold of me by December 10th, I'll give you a free one-on-one class on the 50-year market over there, and learn about advanced trading methods in a few months and so forth, and I'll give you the key to the markets, and you get a free class. I'll give you advanced trading methodologies, and what I do is I take these advanced trading methodologies, like the astrology, like Gann methods, Fibonacci, fractals, and I reduce everything to a grade school level, and simplify everything so anybody can understand it. AI, I know that's the hot thing now, artificial intelligence. I can prove that what I'm doing is better than artificial intelligence, and we could be those Wall Street bot traders. So please email me, include your name, location, and where you found this offer. Here's my contact information. I'm in beautiful Naples, Florida, and you can call me if you're in the USA or Canada, 239-594-3939. That's 239-594-3939, or email me at nwinski@yahoo.com. Thank you very much for listening. I'm looking forward to helping some of you folks. Have a great day, and please contact me right away. Thank you.